Little bit of a bonus episode by popular request for you today, boys and girls. We've reached that point in my Arsenal beta save where it's time for World Cup 2022. And loads of you asked for me to do a standalone episode on World Cup 2022. So I took off the Arsenal shirt so I could be completely unbiased. And we're going to have a look at World Cup 2022. Hello folks and welcome to a video having a look at the World Cup that's coming up in Season 2 of all our FM22 beta saves. I'm going to take you through the whole World Cup, probably check in with you at the end of every stage, maybe even show you the final and just basically see what happens, see what players stand out, see who your top scorers are, see if there's any weird stuff going on. It's always fun looking at these tournaments in Football Manager. If you're looking forward to the video, please make sure you leave a nice big thumbs up on it for me. All of that kind of stuff always helps. And of course, if you are new because you were searching specifically for World Cup content, make sure you subscribe to the channel, turn your notifications on. I'm doing daily videos in this series at the moment, in this game world, and plus got lots more stuff coming up on FM22 as well once the full game is out. I've got us through to the first day of the World Cup, 21st of November. We have our opening game ready to go. Weirdly, Qatar not in the opening match of the World Cup. It's going to be Austria against Sweden from the same group. I just thought I'd have a little flick through to show you who the qualifiers are. I don't know who has and hasn't qualified. If anyone's qualified at this point, I kind of tune into international tournaments just before they're about to start and don't really pay much attention to any of the qualifying. But as you may have been able to figure out from my accent or my clothing, I am English. So for me, I'm going to have a particular focus on what's going on with England and just have a quick look at the England squad because I think it'll interest me and the majority of my audience. I know a lot of you aren't English. I've seen the analytics. A lot of you are as well. So we're just going to have a quick look at this. Interesting to see Jude Bellingham now considered England's best player just over a year into the future. I'm not sure that would be the case now. I mean, he's good. Is he our best player? I don't know. Maybe he's not. Maybe he is. But this is the England squad. I don't think there's anything particularly surprising in here. I'm looking for any obvious omissions or players that you just wouldn't expect to be there. I don't think we've really got anything. It's a fairly standard England squad, I think. Good to see Tammy Abraham involved after his exploits for Barcelona in my final FM21 series. Looks like he's doing quite well over at Roma. You've got Greenwood, Rashford and Abraham as the backups for Harry Kane. So who were the backups in the Euros? Calvert-Lewin and Rashford, wasn't it? So Calvert-Lewin missing out, which I guess... I mean, it's not even really a shock, is it? He barely played in the summer. No, I think that looks about right. Right, what we're going to do is go through to the end of the group stage. I don't know why it's telling me about the Euros there rather than the World Cup. We're going to go through to the end of the group stage. I'll pick out any really interesting matches that happen during the groups, but I'll meet up with you at the end of the group stage so we can have a look to see who we've got in the second round. Right, we've made it through to the end of the group stages, so we can have a little look now at the results as they've gone through, see if there was any particularly shocking things that happened. Nothing really shocking on match day one, I don't think. Italy beating Colombia there. South Korea, big win over Algeria. Denmark and Jamaica drawing 2-2. That's a good result for Jamaica. Argentina drawing 1-1 with Serbia. That's interesting. We'll keep an eye on Argentina to see if they're going to be struggling to make it through their group. Belgium making it past Australia relatively easy. Morocco beating Mexico is a bit of a shock result, I think. England, massive 5-1 win over the USA. Holland, just a 1-1 draw against Paraguay, or I think with both Holland and possibly Germany as well. We'll check in on Germany. Because we're playing on the unedited, unmodded database, I don't think it's the actual Dutch national team. I think it's just a grayed out team. Yeah, just a grayed out team. So take Holland with a pinch of salt throughout the tournament. Spain beating France. That's the first really big match of the tournament. Let's have a look to see what's gone on in that one. So Spain, this is your Spain 11. My boy Pedri in there. Lovely to see. And your France side, Mbappe on the left with Benzema up front. Benzema old, but still in the team. He's what, 34? 34, but still in the French side. But there's Spain getting an early advantage over France. I thought we'd skipped forward there. We haven't. I just hadn't scrolled down. So moving on to the next day, looking for, I think Qatar have got 2 draws so far. They might be able to sneak through their group with 2 draws. In fact, we can see there they didn't. But they did pick up 2 draws. Germany beating Congo. Iran beating Uruguay is a big result for Iran. Colombia over South Korea. Italy, Brazil picking up wins. Denmark have had a difficult tournament so far. I don't think Denmark would have made it through their group. And then we've got nothing. Argentina struggling again. Croatia 2, Argentina 2. Argentina might not have qualified here. Belgium struggling against Morocco. Morocco had a very good start. They beat, was it Mexico in the first round of games? And then Mexico beating Australia there. And then England over Paraguay. France getting back to winning ways while Spain beat Japan. And USA beating Holland 4-0. After being thumped by England, the USA beating Holland 4-0. But remember, pinch of salt when it comes to Holland. It's not the actual Dutch team. And then into the final round of games, Austria finally beating Qatar to knock them out, and Senegal making it through as well. In Group B, Uruguay drawing with Congo. Iran beating Germany. Again, pinch of salt for Germany, because this isn't, it's not the actual German team. So when we play the full version of FM22, we'll obviously have those nations fixed so they have their proper players in there. But a Germany grade outside, still better than Uruguay. But Iran topping that group with 3 wins in a group that included Germany and Uruguay is probably the biggest shock of the tournament so far. Into the next day, Colombia drawing with Algeria. Italy beating South Korea. Means that Italy topped the group, Colombia in second, South Korea third. And then in Group D, Brazil struggling to a 1-1 with Jamaica. Jamaica have had a couple of good results, and Denmark beating Poland. That's a weird old group. Brazil topping it, but Jamaica coming through second. Denmark getting knocked out, along with Poland, who didn't pick up a single point in the 2022 World Cup. Argentina then beating Costa Rica, and Croatia beating Serbia. Means Argentina do sneak through thanks to that Croatia victory over Serbia. But Argentina doing it the hard way. 1 win, 2 draws in a group that you would have expected them to win comfortably, I think. And then Belgium beating Mexico. Mexico must be out. I don't think they've got a point. And Morocco beating Australia. I wouldn't be surprised if Morocco have topped Belgium's group. Level on points. So Belgium and Morocco level on points on 7. Mexico did pick up a win. I must have missed that one in Australia. They must have beaten Australia. Australia finishing bottom of the group, but Mexico out as well. And then England beating Holland while the USA beat Paraguay. That should be England and the US through in that group. After being thumped by England on the first day, America have won their next 2 games. Paraguay and the Netherlands are out. And then Nigeria drawing 2-2 with Spain. If it hadn't been for how weak the other 2 teams in the group were, Spain could have been out there. But actually, it was they beat France, didn't they? Everyone's beating each other in this group. So Spain top of the group, France second, Nigeria third, Japan eliminated. Meaning the second round is Austria versus Germany, Senegal versus Iran, Italy versus Jamaica, Brazil, Colombia, Croatia, Morocco, Belgium, Argentina, England, France, and USA, Spain. Bearing in mind you've got Senegal versus Iran in there, there's some big matches in there. England facing France in the first knockout round feels a little bit harsh. Austria, Germany's obviously a big game as well. Brazil and Colombia are also neighbours. I don't know if there's much of a rivalry down there, but they're next to each other, I think, looking at a map in my head. And Belgium and Argentina, there's going to be a big team going out there as well. Right, I am going to skip through the second round and we'll show you how everybody got on. So, knockout rounds then. First matchup was Austria versus a greyed out Germany, and Germany do have enough to get past Austria. So Germany 1, Austria 0. Iran continuing to progress, winning against Senegal in extra time 1-0. Moving through to the next day, Brazil have been knocked out of the World Cup. Brazil 0, Colombia 1. That seems like a big moment in the World Cup. I just want to have a little sneak. I mean, to be fair to Colombia, yeah, lovely, lovely, lovely. What I really want to do is look at the Brazil team to see what kind of Brazil team gets knocked out in the second round of the World Cup. I mean, to me, it looks like a pretty strong Brazil, but an even stronger Colombia. Congratulations to Colombia making it through to the, is it the quarterfinal that comes after the second round? The World Cup confuses me. Italy 3, Jamaica 0. Italy just cruising at the moment. Won all 3 games in their group. Comfortable victory in the second round. No big test for Italy just yet. You can see Immobile is the top scorer in the tournament so far as well. So he's having a lovely old time. Why did that change the way? Oh, because they were at different times and now they're all at the same time, which is a bit weird. Don't know why they'd both be at the same time. Belgium 2, Argentina 0. That seems big as well for Belgium to have knocked out Argentina. Perhaps the golden generation of Belgium isn't over. There's your Argentina team. No Messi in there. Seems like he's maybe packed it in international. Has he done that in real life? Oh no, Messi's on the bench. Dybala's on the bench. Martinez is on the bench. What a weird team selection for Argentina. No wonder they've got themselves knocked out. They've put the reserves out against Belgium, who, there we have it. The golden generation's not over. They've got one last chance to try and win themselves a major tournament. And it looks like Lukaku and De Bruyne in excellent form at exactly the right time. So Belgium, perhaps a team to keep an eye on. Croatia knocking Morocco out after extra time. And then England have been knocked out by France. We said it was probably the big game of this second round, and England have just absolutely bottled it. Tammy Abraham getting the nod to start ahead of Harry Kane. That's probably going to be controversial. My boy Jude Bellingham playing well in midfield, but it's not enough. Declan Rice playing at centre-back. I mean, there's questions to be asked throughout this. Dean Henderson in goal ahead of Ramsdale. Looking at the bench, Saka's on the bench, Trent's on the bench. You've got Joe Gomez and Harry Maguire on the bench with Declan Rice starting at centre-back, Jack Grealish down on the bench, Harry Kane on the bench. We've kind of done an Argentina and put out a very odd team and been punished for it by a very, very strong French side. I mean, that front three compared to this front three, I don't know. That looks like a front three that could potentially go on and win a World Cup. But France are through. England are useless. And Spain knocking out the USA after extra time as well. Then that leaves us quarterfinals that look like this. Germany versus Colombia. Iran versus Italy. Italy's just easy cruise through to winning the World Cup continues, it seems. Iran versus Italy, Croatia versus Spain, and then the big standout match of this quarterfinal, Belgium versus France. Let's go and see what goes on there. So into the quarterfinals then, and as mentioned, Italy's cruise through continues. Iran 1, Italy 3. This Italy team is just having a really rather nice time at the World Cup. Not had a major test yet. They're just very comfortable. And I mean, you wouldn't bet against them at this point, I don't think. Not that they've faced anybody any good yet. Maybe they'll get someone good in the semi-finals. This is like England's run through to the latter stages of the last couple of tournaments. Italy just having a very favourable draw, it seems. Germany 2, Colombia 0. A greyed out Germany, still better than most teams in the world. Football. And then we've got Belgium 2, France 2, with France knocking Belgium out on penalties. The golden generation was finished. We speculated it might not be. Definitely is. Still good performances from the players you'd expect. Lukaku, Hazard, De Bruyne playing very well, but France just have a little bit too much for them. So it was 1-0 to Belgium through Lukaku, then Mbappe equalising, Hazard putting Belgium ahead again, an 86th minute equaliser from France, and then they've held on through extra time and actually finished a penalty shootout within the normal requisite number of penalties. Pogba missing for France, but Carrasco and Doku missing for Belgium. Doku must still be a teenager. 20 years old, Jeremy Doku having to take the penalty that gets Belgium knocked out of the World Cup. Can you imagine a major nation putting a young teenage winger as their final penalty taker and it costing them a major tournament? What kind of idiot would do that, eh? Can't imagine. And then Croatia 0, Spain 3 in the other quarterfinal that we've got there. So Spain making it through as well. England. I was looking for England. Kev, you've already changed your shirt. England have already been knocked out. Don't know why you're trying to build suspense looking for England. They're not there. So semi-final 1 is Germany versus France. Semi-final 2, Italy versus Spain. It's finally looking like a World Cup. Italy have got a proper test now. France, you would expect to be able to get past greyed out Germany. But this is building up to be, I mean, it's very European focused, isn't it? But let's see who wins, shall we? So semi-finals have been done. Semi-final 1 was Germany versus France, and inexplicably, greyed out Germany are through to the World Cup final on penalties. I mean, look at these German stars that we're very familiar with. Number 49, Caro, a particular favourite of mine, but they're through to the World Cup final. France getting themselves knocked out. Interestingly, no Mbappe for France in that semi-final, not even on the bench, suggesting he was probably, or he is definitely injured or suspended. No room for Dembele to come in for him either. I mean, Thuram up front. I don't know, where's Benzema? Benzema's on the bench. They've gone for Thuram over Benzema, although Thuram did score the late goal in the quarterfinal. But yeah, France getting themselves knocked out by an imaginary team. And then in the other semi-final, Italy are winning this, aren't they? Italy 2, Spain 0. Italy just still seemingly cruising through. Immobile is just having one of the greatest World Cups in the history of World Cups. What's that? 10 goals from in this World Cup now? And it's just a very comfortable 2-0 win over a Spain side that, I mean, it doesn't look like the kind of Spain side you'd expect to see, is it? Look at the terrible performances from 3 of those back 4 as well. It appears that Italy have just absolutely ripped them apart. Which means we have a third place playoff of Spain versus France. And then coming up in a moment, Germany versus Italy in the final, where can Italy finally beat a greyed out team? Because I don't know how Germany have done this. If I'm commentating on a final with a bunch of players I've never heard of, we're all Italy fans for this final because Germany aren't real. And Immobile has got 10 goals so far. What a World Cup for him. How old is he? 32, probably too old for me to sign. So it's World Cup final o'clock. France beat Spain in the third place playoffs. So France officially the third best team in the world, but we are here to watch the World Cup final. Apparently Arsenal are playing in a friendly right now as well, but we're at the World Cup final instead. As I imagine everybody is. I can't imagine anybody's going to these friendly tournaments while the World Cup final is going on. It's going to be very weird when this World Cup happens next year, how it all gets fitted in and around stuff like the domestic, effectively second pre-season. We have our first highlight of the game. It's Italy with the free kick. Insigne plays it across, and it looks like it's going to be an Italy corner. There's nobody in the executive boxes. Seems a little bit wasteful. Insigne with the in-swinging corner. It comes to Jorginho on the edge of the area. See, I can commentate on the Italian players just fine because they're real. Jorginho's been fouled there, I think. Has he? No? Just a throw-in? Weird highlight. And we pick things up again from the resulting throw-in, it seems. And now we've got a bunch of imaginary German players on the attack. Immobile, lovely. I mean, look at the state of that. The little back heel to play Verratti in. That was absolutely ridiculous from Immobile. We just had the list of the top 50 players in the world come through, and I think Immobile was top 10 on that. If you aren't looking at Ciro Immobile as a potential, I guess, short-term attacking signing on FM22, apparently you're doing something wrong because he is absurdly good. That was a ridiculous little piece of football from him. But as we approach half-time, it is still 0-0. They've got a player called Advent. Lovely. Now we need another one called Calendar. Calendar feels like it would be a very German-sounding name. I'd love to have an Advent calendar midfield. That would be brilliant. Right, Jorginho to Verratti. Are we going to get a goal just before half-time? Calabria with the shot, and it's tipped over by some guy in goal for Germany. And now we've got a corner. Are they going to do the near post special? Looking for Bonucci, who couldn't really get any connection with it, and it ends up cleared. And it is 0-0 at half-time. It has very much been Italy's first half, looking at the XG. But Germany just seem weirdly unbeatable in this tournament. When you contrast them to the Dutch team that was also greyed out, that got battered early on and knocked out really early, this German team is just has something a little bit special about it. But talking of special, Federico Di Marco has just scored a beauty of a free kick at the start of this second half. That's not a bad way to immortalise yourself in a World Cup final, is it really? An absolutely stunning free kick. Germany 0, Italy 1, and I think Italy are just going to go on and complete the victory from here. They've had a fantastic World Cup. They've got one of the best players in the world up front for them. And I emphasise once again, the German team, largely imaginary. So you would expect Italy to do all right from this point onwards. I want to see another piece of Immobile magic. But it's I would expect him to probably go off fairly soon because he's played pretty much every minute of this World Cup. Although fitness-wise, he looks like he's doing okay. They've stuck Pellegrini up onto the left wing now, which is an interesting one. Pellegrini's one of my boys from the Streamer Showdown, but I would never play him in that role. But we're into the 85th minute here. It's another DiMarco free kick. He's gone for goal again. Absolutely. I mean, it's an audacious effort from DiMarco. The players lined up in the middle are going to be furious with him for having the shot there, but he nearly caught the keeper unawares. And I've never seen an attempt at a free kick like that in FM. That was pretty impressive. The keeper did just get there, but very nearly embarrasses him with another free kick goal. We're into the 90th minute. Germany have got a corner, and they scored it. It's off the inside of the post. Donnarumma gratefully clutching it, and I think that was probably Germany's big chance. The match stats would suggest it's been a more even game than what I've witnessed, but I think as we've seen develop right from the start of this tournament, it was always going to be Italy's. They had such an easy route through to the semi-final. They never really had to stress themselves. They've had the best player in the tournament in Immobile, and Italy have now won back-to-back international tournaments. Keep an eye on Italy, boys and girls. They seem like they're quite good in FM22, and I imagine there's a few of their better players that you might want to be picking up for your saves as well. Just a big circle round Immobile. We'll have a look at their squad in a second just to see who the other standout performers were, judging it on stuff other than just goals. If we have a look to see, I mean, it's a little bit misleading. It's not just going to be showing us the World Cup, but you can see Barella's been very good. Chiesa, I've seen a lot of people signing Chiesa on FM22. Nobody has on this save. He's still up for grabs at Juventus. Very expensive though, as you would imagine, nearly a season and a half in. But Chiesa, I know, is a player that a lot of people have signed. Insigne. They're all a little bit old, aren't they? Even Keane. How is Keane only 22 years old still? I feel like he's a player who's been around forever. Certainly in Football Manager, he's been around forever. He's like 5 or 6 years deep into being a wonder kid in the game. I imagine he's not classed as a wonder kid anymore at 22 years old, but it looks like he's developing into a little bit of a star as well. And of course, Donnarumma, best goalkeeper in the game, as he has been for the last couple of years. So lots of talent in the Italian team. Somehow Immobile's only got 9 goals for the season despite getting 10 goals at this World Cup, which is a little bit of an interesting one. Not quite sure how that's worked out. But if we have a look at the goal scorers, Lukaku doing quite well on there as well. Timothy Weir for the US. Mason Greenwood, England's top scorer, joint with Harry Kane. What a flop England were at this tournament. My boy at Arsenal, Lautaro Martinez, is in there as well with a couple of goals. But yeah, and there we have it. Winners of World Cup 2022, Italy. I'm trying to sign a player for Arsenal as well. Don't worry about that. You can see that on the episode later when we're back with Arsenal at 4 o'clock. If you've enjoyed that, something a little bit different, please make sure you leave a nice big thumbs up on there for me. Don't worry, I'm not going to make a habit of doing this every time there's an international tournament, but I thought, you know what? It's the first one. It's a little bit interesting. Let's show it. Hopefully you enjoyed it. But let me know down in the comments how you'd maybe like to see me do stuff like this in the future. If I do, how I could do it differently. Your thoughts and feedback welcome as ever. Subscribe to the channel, turn your notifications on, and thank you very much for watching.